Welcome to this week's podcast. I'm so excited to be joined again this week by Susan Barber. If you were on last week's show, or if you watched last week's show, you know we had a great conversation about teaching and life and culture, all kind of cool things as we thought about the next generation. Today, we're going to continue that conversation. Susan's agreed to stick with us a little bit longer. We got so much content we're going to be able to share with you. So today, you're going to catch some good nuggets as well. We're going to talk about communication, writing at the end. You won't want to miss that, but we want to just thank you so much for locking in here with us to this podcast each week. And I want to encourage you, if you know some people who would benefit from the things we talk about, and you know that they want to be great just like you do, I encourage you to share that. Hit that subscribe button, hit those comments, and hit us up with some comments. Let us know what's going on in your life, how we can help you out. We love interacting with you online. If you're watching on YouTube, that's awesome. If you're just on the podcast, no big deal either way. We want to encourage you just to continue to help us spread the word. The more you help us do that, the more we're able to serve you. So we're trying to help you be great. Susan's going to join us here again, and today you're going to learn some great stuff that's going to help your life as you continue to chase greatness. So let's talk family here for a second. So you got 3 kids; they're grown. You and Scott been married
Forever.
A while,
Yep.
30 something.
Yeah.
How long?
30, going on
Do you even know?
33.
33.
Yeah.
Okay, it's about to hit 33. That's great. And so y'all been on the same. I mean, it's just been cool to watch you guys through the years on the same team and everything. But y'all are very different. You and Scott are very different.
You picked up on that?
Most couples that are married are different than their spouse. And yet one of the things that I have noticed, it seems like from the outside looking in, is you both enjoy sports together. I don't know if you enjoyed sports a lot growing up. I know Scott really likes sports, but y'all have your Alabama football thing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my wife is an Auburn girl, so
again, putting people in a box.
Y'all been much more successful in your sports journey than we have. But that's one activity. I know y'all travel together. I know you do things together. Talk about to the person out there who's trying to have not just a good marriage, but they're chasing greatness in their marriage. It's hard. We've been married 30 something years as well. And you got a lot of ups and downs in 30 something years, but there's things that I notice y'all have built in to try to, can you help anybody who's listening? Like what are some things you can do to help take care of your marriage and talk a little bit about some of those?
Yeah, I think just like trying new things together. And that honestly, like when y'all
moved into the city, as
right,
an example, right?
Exactly. So that's what I was going to say. Yes, like I think my career like kind of gave us the push we needed to get into the city. But thinking about being empty nesters and being married for a long time, we both felt like this is a good opportunity to force change in our marriage as well and to drop us in a new place where, we're having to learn our way around.
Where's the grocery store? where do we walk?
Right. And find a church in the city and do these new things together. We just thought with 30 plus years of marriage that forcing that change on us would be good for our marriage. So, how can you force change that will put you in where you're taking steps together as a couple to do new things? I think that's really, and then we move up there and Atlanta shuts down because of COVID. But before that, we're like, let's try a different restaurant every week and get to know different people and have them in our home. Right.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to school here for a second. So it's time to go back to school in a few weeks. And I'm sorry, it's your first day of vacation. I shouldn't even say that, but we're gonna go back to school for a second. So speak to the audience here. I got a few audiences I want you to speak to, but speak to the audience here. What's going on in school these days that wasn't going on in school? It's been a long time since I've been in school. So talk to us about what do we need to know about school that maybe we don't, we're just not there. So help us.
Yeah.
Help us a little bit.
First of all, like I would say, like if you ever have the opportunity to go visit a school, especially like a public high school and like a public high school in the city, like you should do that. Like you should come
Yeah.
and hang out in my
I'm
classes
coming to
one
the
day.
Frankenstein lecture. Can I do
Yes,
that?
yes, totally. Like, um, if you can step into a school, like you should totally do that because it is very different. I think one thing that's a lot different now is just the emphasis on the whole child. And so there's a lot of emphasis on social, emotional learning and the well-being mentally of our students, especially coming out of COVID like this last year was
Yeah.
just really
Been hard,
difficult
yeah.
for students. And teachers, I mean, for everybody, let's be real. But so, how can we not only deliver our content, but how can we care for students and help them be better people in general? So, I think there's a lot bigger shift on that. I think there's also a large shift in education on like differentiation or really like helping each student chart their own path. So let's really lean into what makes you you. Now, what courses can you take that really maximize that? And, we still want to introduce you and help you explore different things so you're rounded out, but really you learn best with this particular learning style. So let's help you lean into that. And just thinking about, yes, I do have classes of 35. I had a class of 36 last year, like one of my classes, 36. So yes, there's this corporate class, but also like, how can I individualize things for each of my students?
That's good. Okay, so let's talk to the people who are going back to school. So we have teachers who are listening and they're really enjoying summer right now and it'll be time to go back and maybe some of them are in the middle of their career or maybe they're starting out or maybe they got a couple of years left and they're just ready to be done with all of it. What do you say to that teacher who's going back to school in the fall, going back into the grind? It'll be exciting the first day, but September will come and then it'll be grinded out time. What do you say to teachers who are going back to school this fall?
Yeah, so this is what I'll say to teachers. Two things. Only two things. Okay. First of all, I would say like respect yourself enough to put boundaries on how much you're going to let teaching take from your life. I love teaching, but teaching will eat you up if you don't set boundaries.
Yeah.
And so typically what I tell younger teachers when I mentor them is like, you show up at this place and like from 8:15 to 3:45, those are our school hours. Like, I want you to give it all you've got.
You spill it out, yeah.
I mean, you give it all you have. And then at 3:45, or maybe you even choose to add a half an hour, 45 minutes, 4:30, maybe you choose to add some time onto your day. But when you walk out of this building, like you leave it
Go
in the
have a
building,
life.
and you love the people you love. You take care of yourself. Because this whole like teacher martyr syndrome of like
grading all night, every night.
and wearing that as a badge of honor, like that is not healthy. When I'm on Twitter and I see people like, oh, well, I've spent all weekend grading essays, or I was up to 2 a.m. giving my students feedback or grading math quizzes, and they wear it as a badge of honor. But we've got to get away from this teacher martyr syndrome that's what's looked up to. And what needs to be looked up to is teachers who are giving it all while they're there. And then they're saying, now I've got to take care of myself.
And it's maybe no different than anybody else who would be
Exactly.
listening in any other area of life. If you don't have stuff to give, you really don't, you're not
Right.
able to give. I mean, you got to take care of you. We talk about
and I will
self-leadership and
say,
the
like, I
importance of
have
that all the time.
150 AP Lit kids, so I get it. Like, I'm
You are a grader.
grading.
you
Like,
grade and you read.
I grade and give a lot of feedback on essays, but I don't grade at night. I don't
Yeah.
bring it
Once you go
home.
home, you're home.
And I will take about like maybe one weekend a month. I will do some work at home, and I will, decide at the beginning of the month, this
Yeah.
is going to be the weekend that I will do
Yeah.
some work at home to kind of ease the load, but it's not a daily
Yeah,
thing.
that's
And
good.
it's not an every weekend thing.
That's good. Okay, so what do you say to students who are going back to school this fall? They're getting ready to go. First graders, it's really fun. Brand new kindergarten, whatever. You got high school kids coming back. They're probably got a different little mindset going on there. All kind of, you got students all over the place. Different. What do you say to students if there's a student listening? We have some students who
Okay,
listen.
so this is what I would say to students. No matter what last year looked like, it was probably not normal. Whether even if you were in person, I did Zoom school all year. When we opened up, I only had 3 kids return in person. So I taught all my classes on Zoom. Some people were hybrid. So some students may have been in the class, and then they have other students coming in through Zoom. So whatever last year wasn't normal. So this year, going back, especially this year, I would tell students 2 things. Number one, enjoy your friends, because we've been in a year where there was a lot of isolation built in. And I would just say, enjoy being around your friends.
Face to face with people.
Put your phone down during lunch and talk to your friends. And I do think a lot of this isolation, especially with students I've seen, has really turned them more into, their phone and into TikTok and Instagram or whatever, Snapchat. I don't even know the cool things I know if I'm on it, it's not cool. So that's probably aren't the cool things,
That's good.
But I think because they were looking for community during times of isolation, they, went into social media. But now that we have an opportunity to be face to face and, unrestricted with people, step away. You don't have to delete all your social media, but maybe step away from it so much every day and enjoy the people in front of you.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
The other thing that I would tell students is, if you are struggling, because I think a lot of students struggled during the pandemic with the isolation. If you are struggling, reach out to your teacher or to a friend or to a trusted adult in your life, a parent, someone at church, whoever, reach out to them and let them know you're struggling. You don't have to struggle through that alone.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so I got one more group. What do we say to parents? It's time for school to start back. What you got anything? A lot of parents here who have kids in school. What's the message from a master teacher to parents? What do you?
Okay, so 2 things. It's always 2 things.
You got 2 every time. That's good.
Yeah, so I would say, first of all, parents, just let your child have more ownership and agency over their learning than you do. Even in elementary school, I think you can start building in systems of, I'm not going to sit down and do your homework with you or for you, but, let me get you set up here at the table with your snacks, and then I'm going to step away and let me know if you need me. But you don't have to let them own their own learning. Exactly. The second thing I would say is just don't pressure your kids to be something that they're not, or to be who they're not. Let them lean into the things they're feeling, even if you're not feeling it. You only get one chance to champion your child when they're growing up. So if they're into horses or they're into, whatever, and you're I remember telling my kid one time, we're not a horse family. Well, why are we not a horse family if my kid wants to explore
Ride
horses?
a horse.
Maybe it's time for us to become a horse family.
Yeah.
So, listen to what your kid is telling you. that they are wanting to explore, and then help them explore that.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so I got one more question. It's going to be a communication question here, which will
Okay.
be a layup for you. But so everybody listening here is we all need to communicate effectively, and I'm gonna let you kind of go anywhere you want to with this. I read earlier in the year that the best writers are readers, and so I don't know if you would agree with that or not. But if this was a children's author, I was doing a master class, and she made that statement. I thought that was really good. And so this idea of if you want to be a good, effective communicator, I think it's important to write well. And obviously, I do some writing. You're around people all the time. You write. There are people that write. You read all kinds of writing, but there's the executive out there, or the teacher out there, or whoever. All of us need to write better. We need to communicate better. Maybe we need to read more. I don't know. I'll let you kind of go where you want to with this. But what are some things? I guess the question is, what are some things we can do to write better? I know you could talk all day on this. You'll have more than two things to say. But what are some things we can do to write better, communicate better, and put a bow on anything that you want to say about just the whole English side of our lives? Because most of us, I'll say this, most of us didn't probably pay as much attention to our English teachers as we should have when we were
That's
in
no
school.
secret. Trust
so
me.
You already know. So you already know what we know. So speak to us as communicators and the importance of writing and reading.
Yeah, I think, oh my gosh, I could talk for 3 days about this. So I think one of the reasons that a lot of people have trouble communicating, whether it be through the written word or the spoken word, whatever, is that we don't even know what we think, because we have not taken time enough to step back and hear our own voice, because we're hearing so many other voices.
Yeah.
I mean, society is full of other people's voices bombarding us, right? And it all becomes noise in our life. And so I would say, to be a good writer, or to be a good communicator, that you're going to have to build in reflective time in your own life, so that you know what your truth is. Like, how are you going to tell your truth? How am I going to tell my truth? How am I going to communicate my truth if I don't even know what my truth is, because I'm just listening to all of the noise? Yeah. So I think building in time for reflection, and we're not a society that values quiet time, and getting alone with our thoughts. Like, we're just not a society that values that. I do believe that, reading, like we expose ourselves to new ways of thinking and new ideas when we read. So, of course, I think reading is, the reading, writing component go along together. I credit you, actually, as really helping me with my communication. I started a blog, I don't know how many years ago, and now I had a professional and a personal blog. Now I'm only doing my professional blog.
And your blog's always amazing.
And thanks. It's for English teachers. And one thing that you told me is that, like, you set your deadline and you publish every week. There's no excuse. And I see that a lot with people who are wanting to write or communicate. And they're like, well, once I polish this up or perfect it or have something really significant to say. But I decided early on that I would take your advice, and I was going to publish every week. And let me tell you, about 85% of the time, I'm like,
what am I doing?
Right. Like,
it comes like the tide,
is
doesn't
this worth publishing?
Yeah.
Is this even really worth? I mean, what am I saying here? How am I going to carve out this time to publish this week? But I stuck to it. And then the more that I did that, it's like working out. Like, my writing muscle just got stronger, stronger. Not only my writing muscle, but my thinking muscle of
Yeah.
like, how am I going to organize my thoughts, and how am I going, what do I want to say? How do I take this like
Yeah.
one little bitty idea, then flesh it out to a message that's worth communicating? So
Yeah.
the more you do that over and over and over, then the better you get at
That's
it.
so good. That's good. Well, I thank you for your time. This has
Oh,
just been
thank you. This has been
amazing. I may
fun.
have to have you back sometime when maybe we'll get you back sometime to inspire some more. But what a great conversation. Tell us where we can find you. If somebody's out there and they're
Okay.
looking for, they need a teacher.
Yeah.
How do they find you? Tell us about your blog. Tell us.
Okay.
I know you're on social media. Tell
Yeah,
us.
for sure.
Where do we find you?
Okay, so Twitter and Instagram, I am at Susan G. Barber.
Okay.
Twitter and Instagram. You really won't find me on Facebook. I love Facebook. So my blog, really, aplithelp.com. I've put everything over there. This is crazy. We have like this English teacher blog. I have typically over 1,000 hits a day on
That's
it.
so good.
Scott's like, who are all of these English teachers? I'm like, listen, we're like taking over the world, and it's going to be like, we're coming through the back door of like English education. Like nobody's going to suspect us at all.
Great.
So hop on over there and see what we're doing. But yeah, Twitter and Instagram.
Well, I'm sure
at Susan
all
G.
your
Barber.
English teaching buddies will hear this interview, and so that's good. So thank y'all for all you do. I know
Thank you.
You're making the world better as well, you English teachers. But all of you out there who are listening today, is there a nugget that you can take from what we talked about, even from communication or writing at the end, the books? Go get a copy of Frankenstein. That should be pretty easy to find. Things to do for your marriage, and just for all of us out there. I think one of the things we can all agree on is the next generation really is in so many ways the most important generation, and they will not achieve the greatness that's in them unless people who are older believe in them, encourage teachers, and just really believe in what they've got going on, but speak life into them as well. So all of you have an opportunity this week, I'm guessing, to invest in somebody who's younger than you. And I encourage you to do that. There'll be some things you can take from this. Continue to apply what we're doing. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for chasing greatness in your own life, and more than that, for helping others to be great. Because I think that really is the definition. It's awesome for you to maximize your potential, but man, there's so much joy, as Susan talked about, when you help somebody else do what they're supposed to do. So let's continue to do that. Push this out. If you know a teacher who needs some encouragement, I can't think of anybody better to mentor them or to encourage them than Susan. And so this interview, I think, will be very beneficial for them. Help them grow as you continue to do the things you're doing. We'll see you next week on Chasing Greatness.